My name is Stephanie, or sometimes Infierna, as you may know me, and I'm here to tell you about my weekend at Midwest Furfest. Midwest Furfest was really amazing this year. I was lucky to have a spot in the dealer's den to sell artwork, and this year I was in the International Ballroom for the first time. It is the largest of the dealer den rooms at this convention. The entire lower floor of the Hyatt is a shopping area, with 5 dealer dens, 4 artist alleys, and a few art showrooms as well. It does get a little cramped downstairs, or should I say very cramped. There were times that I could not even see the carpet because there were so many people walking by. This year, my husband Jake and I stayed in the Aloft Chicago O'Hare. The hotel where the convention is hosted, the Hyatt Regency O'Hare, was full. The hotel was clean, modern, and it had a great look to it that gave a fresh feel that we really enjoy, and the staff are usually very friendly. The only downside of the Aloft is that it is one of the farthest hotels from the Hyatt for the convention. From the Aloft, you can walk to the Hyatt through a heated skywalk, which does make a huge difference. The walk itself can take 15 to 20 minutes each time you go back and forth. This can be especially annoying and hot if you're a costumer with a full or partial fursuit. I would advise, if you're walking in your costume, to take your head off and carrying the costume head all the way to the Hyatt if possible. Jake and I arrived at the Aloft on Thursday after a smooth drive from Ohio, and after having trouble finding the parking garage, we were able to check in. After we unloaded the car, we went to the Hyatt with our dealer supplies to set up my art table. Luckily, my table only needs 1 tote and 1 cart to set up, so it took only 1 trip. After the table was set up, we met up with one of our roommates, Croy, and visited the mall next to the Aloft for dinner. After dinner, the 3 of us went to the convention to see which of our friends we could find. The convention was already really busy and crowded, so we found many of our friends from the United States and caught up with each other. Our other 2 hotel roommates, Sam and Solomon, joined us later that night. Jake, Sam, Solomon, and I headed through the skywalk to the convention and had a quick breakfast at Perks Coffee on Friday morning. From there, we split up and Jake and I went to the dealer table to get ready for the big rush. Once the dealer den opened, Friday felt like the busiest day of the convention for me. It was definitely a mad rush as everyone tried to get an idea of who they wanted to commission that weekend. Jake and I closed shop at 7 p.m. and collected Sam, Solomon, and one of my friends, Winter the Deer, and headed back to the Aloft. We ordered the long-awaited Giordano's deep dish pizza, and we waited 2.5 hours for pizza to be delivered to our room. That night, I worked until midnight or 1 a.m. and completed 1 piece of artwork for the day. I wanted to get 2 done, but I also wanted to make sure that I had sleep for Saturday, because Saturday is usually the biggest business day. Saturday morning, Olin, Solomon, and I headed to the convention early, and we left at 8:30 in the morning. By the time we got there in 15 minutes, we had a lot of time to kill before we had to open at 10 a.m. So he and I checked out the breakfast buffet at the convention together at the OH American Grill. I don't know if it's O American Grill or OH American Grill. I've never really heard any of the employees ever call it that. All that I've ever known it as at my few years at MFF is just the buffet, because they have an amazing buffet there. This was my first time having breakfast buffet, and Solomon's first time having any buffet at that grill ever before. So we were both really impressed with the quality of the food and the service. Afterwards, I helped Solomon set up his table in the artist alley for his first venture into selling artwork at a convention. After that, I went to my table to help get it ready for opening at 10 a.m. Saturday sales feel like a huge blur, and the 8 hours went by extremely fast. I do feel like it was slightly less cramped than Friday, but it wasn't a huge difference. This could have been because on Friday they did not have a whole lot of time to go through and shop. It could have been that Saturday we actually had a whole chunk of 9 hours for people to shop. It was open from 10 to 6 that day, so maybe they had to space it out a little bit better. After the dealer's den closed at 6 p.m., we went back to the buffet for dinner along with a few of our friends. Personally, I feel like my past visits to the buffet were far more exciting as far as the food went. It wasn't bad this time by any means, but it was still great. But I feel like the breakfast was a lot more impressive that day than the dinner was. That and our waiters seem to have a habit of not wanting to fill anybody's cups. Our cups were always empty, and they were like this big. Like he'd fill our cups, the neighbors' cups, and their neighbors' cups all in one go, and then not do any more cups for like a long time. And they were like so tiny. So it's like, if you don't want to fill anyone's water, at least give them some big cups, like really big cups. Just fill them up with water, you know? And then you don't have to worry about the problem for a while. It's just, at least the food was amazing. After dinner, I sketched 3 more pieces of art and took a nap before Jake and I headed back to the Hyatt, the convention center, to see what video footage or photographs that he and I could collect. Saw a lot of friends and were out for a few hours before we went back to the Aloft and just like collapsed for the night. Sunday morning, Jake did me a huge favor and went to the dealer table alone to take care of sales that might happen. I stayed at the Loft, and while my roommates were still sleeping, I was inking and coloring the artwork for the weekend. I had 3 badges that I sketched to complete and give out that day. I can bring them to the dealer table to work with me, but it doesn't work very well because I can barely get any work done at the table. But if I'm actually wanting to get work done, I can't actually be at the table. I have to go to the hotel room and work from there. So I knew that while Jake was at the table, I could stay at the Aloft and get quiet time to finish the artwork that I had to do for the day. Even as fast as I was going, I didn't get back to the dealer's den until 12 or 1 p.m. The 4 badges that I did finish, they did pick them up in the dealer's den, so that was great. The badges that I do, they're only about this big. They're not very big. They're like little name tags for each of the people that go with art of their animal character on them. Each one takes like 2 to 3 hours for me to do. So for me to crank out a good chunk of them at a convention, it does take me some time. I did spend a few hours in the dealer den on Sunday. After I made my way over to the Hyatt, I took over the table for Jake. So again, big thank you to Jake for watching my table and taking a few sales for me on Sunday morning. And another huge thank you to our good friends Tiberius and Kanza for helping Jake out when we really needed it. Because with a 15-minute walk to the Hyatt from the Aloft, I was never going to get there quickly if Jake needed my help. It just takes too long. Though I did learn that if I walk alone and quickly, I could make it from the Aloft to the Hyatt really quick, actually. Just pick up your stuff and go. Just walk fast. Don't look back. Don't look back. And you can carry your stuff and you can just go. You make it all the way to the convention center in 10 minutes flat. But I was really tired when I got there. Each of our hotel roommates visited the table when they were leaving, which always makes Sunday really hard, knowing that your roommates are going back to the room, they're emptying out all their stuff, and by the time that you go back to the room, their stuff will be gone, and they'll be gone, and you don't know when you're going to see them again. The dealer's den closed on Sunday at 4 p.m., and Jake and I took down our display in roughly 20 minutes. After that, we visited my artist friends from St. Louis, briefly, including Bonitis, Talenci, and Isabella, before they headed home. That night, Jake and I had Giordano's again. The pizza ended up an hour late, and the delivery guy stayed in the lobby and didn't call us. He just stood in the lobby. So we called the store, who called him, and found out that he was indeed in the lobby. So Jake and I went down to the lobby, and we couldn't find the guy. There were no pizza guys in the lobby at all. So we went back to the room, and we found the pizza guy standing outside the door. So I guess his boss called him. He said he was in the lobby, and then went to the room and didn't tell his boss or us. I mean, we were pretty excited to get our pizza finally, but it was such a wild goose chase, and then the pizza was actually a little bit cold when we got it finally, which is kind of disappointing to say because Giordano's has been so amazing so far up until this point. But after that, we had a relaxing evening watching movies and pretty much passing out from exhaustion. Jake and I checked out on Monday and had a very calm drive home. To recap, Midwest Furfest had a count of 7,075 attendees for this year, and that is only 235 less attendees than Anthrocon this year, which is the biggest furry convention of 2016. I, for one, will be very excited to see if Anthrocon does anything for 2017 to try and boost their attendance count, because at the rate that Midwest Furfest is growing every year, it will beat Anthrocon very soon. Midwest Furfest raised $78,482 for its charity, Felines and Canines. Also, the convention has released their theme for 2017, and it will be Grimm's Fairy Tales, which is very cool to me because the last 2 years the convention really hasn't had a theme per se. This year, I don't think they announced the theme, but it was unofficially winter or holidays. Last year, the theme was just the furry fandom itself, so it was kind of self-fulfilling, I guess. The dates for MFF next year will be November 30th to December 3rd. Midwest Furfest, even though it is currently the second largest furry convention in the world, still manages to have a homey feel. The staff are all very friendly. The convention space is extremely clean and extremely active. There were not parts of the Hyatt that I wouldn't run into an attendee. On that note, however, there were many times that there was no room to move at all. 7,000 people crammed into one main hotel was very anxiety-inducing at times, and I don't even usually walk alone. I almost always have my art crate with me. It has wheels, but it's always trailing along behind me. In fact, it's chilling right over here. I don't know how well you can see it, but it's always following behind me. I can usually move fast with it, but I was waiting for anyone to trip over the silly thing and just fall at any minute. Nobody has yet, but over the past 2 years at MFF, I've always been kind of worried about it. Also, one of the escalators in the hotel broke down halfway through the convention, causing more traffic on the stairs. As far as the working escalators went, one of the things I like about Midwest Furfest is that they keep the escalator tops and bottoms from getting crowded. There are staff members and marked floor space at the top and There are staff members and marked floor space at the top and bottom of each set of escalators and stairs where you can stand around. This is amazing to help everyone get on and off the escalators easily without smashing into other people. As for the panels at the convention, I did not have time to visit any of them because I was working the whole weekend, but this is normal for me. However, when I looked at the schedule, there did appear to be a large variety of panels and classes to keep anyone from getting bored. There were costume making panels, art panels, YouTube panels, video game rooms, and board game rooms. If you went to a panel, please let me know about it in the comments and if you enjoyed it and recommend it to others. The food at MFF is always great, and I'm never disappointed at this convention. This was my 4th time at MFF, so I kind of know what to expect. The food there is always a little costly, but usually worth it. There are not a lot of food choices that are walkable from the hotel. Maybe one McDonald's, but even that's kind of a walk. So in most cases, you're gonna eat at the buffet in the hotel or the bar there, or the cafe. The cafe can get expensive with salads and sandwiches being $7.50 each. The good news though is that even though the stuff is a bit costly, they are large and filling. The salads usually have massive amounts of vegetables on them or even a whole piece of chicken. The food there keeps me going for hours on most cases. This year, the cafe even put out hot food for the same cost or included bratwurst and cheeseburgers. If you're out there budgeting for the convention in 2017, I may as well put out there that the buffet is usually $18 a meal before tip. From a dealer's standpoint, the sales were great. I've been in the Artist Alley 2 years at the convention and in one of the side dealer den rooms 1 year. Now, if you get accepted into the dealer's den or a small dealer room, don't freak out that you're in the big room or the small room. Since I've been in one small room and the international ballroom, the sales, at least for myself, were basically the same. It didn't make any difference to me if I was in the small room or the large dealer room. In fact, even the Artist Alley didn't seem too far off. All of the rooms had about the same sales. None of them had significantly more sales than the other for myself. All of the sales room got plenty of traffic because the place is so busy. Wherever MFF is next year, I do hope to be a dealer again, or at least an artist in the Artist Alley. In the future, if you're looking for me at a convention, I go both by Stephanie Sundelbach, or if you know me by my furry artist name, it is Infierna. My next 2 conventions will be Anthem, New England in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and First Squared in Brookfield, Wisconsin. I am planning on making review videos for those 2 conventions and more, so if you like this video, please subscribe to stay updated, and thank you again for watching. And since MFF was my last convention for 2016, I would like to know what was your favorite convention that you went to in 2016. Tell me which one you liked best and why. And thank you again for watching.